Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastup Jr.
Welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show. Well, I've been saying it for some time now that tax season was coming. Well, it's arrived, my friends, and on January 29th, the IRS started accepting tax returns. So a lot of people will ask me, hey, Ralph, how come I should be in such a rush to get my tax return filed? Well, I thought about it and I said, there really are some key reasons for doing it. And there's a great article by a fellow by the name of Matthew Frankel, the TMF math guy, that he wrote on January 14, 2018 that talks a lot about this. And so I thought I'd go through these today and talk about why there's such a need to file quickly. The first one is you should know that tax season started a little later this year. So actually, by starting on the 29th, it generally starts around the 20th. There's actually fewer days before April 17th and the filing deadline. Now, the IRS doesn't commit to a specific time frame by which to get you your refund, but my experience has been generally if you have, a reasonable return, you can generally expect a return in about 21 days. The IRS says that 90% of their returns are processed like that. Now, if you want to maximize that, you're going to want to do two things. You want to make sure that you electronically file your return and also select direct deposit. Now, unfortunately, I do have some bad news about this. If you're one of those people that are claiming the earned income credit or the additional child tax credit, the IRS has already put the brakes on those refunds and is not going to issue them till mid-February. A lot of people ask me, why is that? Well, this is actually a built-in delay because this is their biggest area for fraud. So it's an area that the IRS is really examining closely. They're taking a look at the names and the social security numbers and date of birth of those people who are filing. Now, once you do get your tax return filed, one of the things I definitely recommend is checking out the IRS website and clicking on Where's My Refund? This is the best way to keep an eye out on your refund. Now, another reason to soon file early is the sooner you file, the sooner you get your refund. And I kind of think this is funny because I generally have two types of clients. I have clients who are expecting a big refund, or I have clients that, they just want to break even. And when I first started in practice, I was very naive about this. And I would say, my job as an accountant is to get them back a big refund. But then I started to realize, wait a second, Ralph. If you're getting a big refund, what you're really effectively doing is giving the government an interest-free loan. So you say that 10 times, you'll lose yourself there. But it really is an interest-free loan. So one of the things that I try to do now is once I gauge how a client feels about this is I generally try to get them within about $500 of either direction, either getting a $500 refund or owing about $500. Because in my opinion, that's really maximizing the tax system. And I have other people that will say to me, well, Ralph, this is a way that we save money. Well, that's fine, but it's not a very good way to save money because you're not earning any interest. And the sooner you get your money back, the sooner you can pay down your credit card, add to emergency fund, or just invest in the future. This is also talking about getting, a tax professional to help you do it. It's really a good idea to do. And the other thing is once you see that you're getting a big refund, and I definitely recommend this to clients all the time, is to go meet with your payroll department and make some changes. It doesn't make any sense to continue to get these huge refunds. Now, another important reason to file early is the whole idea of tax identity theft. And we've really seen an increase in this over the last several years. In fact, the IRS states that it helped stop 787,000 phony returns in 2016. Now, that's a scary statistic. Now, in our practice, we have seen some of this, and it's a big surprise. We prepare the tax return, get it e-filed, and then we get a kickback from the IRS that says something along the lines of, well, I got bad news for you. Someone's already returned or has already filed a return under your name. Well, the reason they do that is the IRS has a plan where they only accept one tax return per social security number. So when you e-file your return, the only chance you're going to get is one chance to file that return with that social security number. This is an area that the IRS uses to prevent fraud. But if you think about it, then if you're the first to file or quickest to file, then the opportunities for these fraudsters to take advantage of you are lessened. So the key is to get filed early. But now, of course, to do that, you've got to make sure that you've got all your information together. I don't know how many times I've had clients come in and say, Ralph, I'm ready to do my taxes. Oh, but I forgot to get you this, or I forgot to get you that. The problem with that is you really can't finalize the return until you have all your documents. So you need to take a look at your previous year tax return. Take a look, make sure you've got your W-2s, your 1099s, your mortgage interest statements, your charitable contribution statements. Always tell clients to take a look at your bank accounts. Make sure you've gotten something from your banks. You got something from your investment companies. If you've taken any money out of any retirement plans, you're going to need that. If you're retired, you're going to need your Social Security statement. When we meet with new clients, we actually have a list of things we call items to bring to your appointment. And like I've said in a previous broadcast, the key is to look at your previous year tax return and make sure that you've got all your documents in order. Now I'm going to throw a curveball at you. So one of the other reasons this year I think it's most important to file early is what about a government shutdown? And we've already had one, but there's another one, in my opinion, looming on the horizon. And I believe it's February 8th. They've pushed out this continuing resolution. Now, everybody would say, oh, that's fantastic. The IRS isn't going to be working. Well, it's not great if you're expecting a refund. And here's why. So as part of the contingency plans for the government shutdown, if we have another one, the IRS will retain less than half of its workforce, or as little as 35,000 people according to its contingency plans. The problem with that is, they'll be processing some tax returns, but they're going to stop tax refunds from being issued because they're going to want to make sure that the returns are being processed correctly. So if you've got a return in the mix, it may be a huge problem for you. At the same time, they're going to stop other functions, which would be audits, return examinations, non-automated collections, and amended tax return filing. Well, that's fine, if you're in one of those situations, but if you're one of the people that's really counting on this refund and we see a government shutdown, then this could really have a huge impact. And, they say in their contingency plan, the longer the shutdown goes on, the worse problems will get. So can you imagine you've put off putting your tax return together, you finally get all your documents together, you go and you e-file your tax return, and then you just wait. And you're waiting because of this government shutdown. So my advice, like I said, a few things here. We got a shorter tax season. We've got to make sure that we get our refund maximized. And if we decide that, we're getting too much money back, let's make some changes. We want to talk about identity theft and think about, hey, let's reduce that prospect identity theft by being the first to file. Make sure that you don't give the identity thieves a roadmap to use. Make sure you've got all your documents in order. And again, like I said, this curveball I threw at you today was, what do we do about this government shutdown? So these are all things to take into consideration now that tax season is up and running. I certainly wish you the best in your filing. And hey, take it one day at a time and make sure that you're maximizing your refunds. Consider using a professional accountant and, just make it work best for you. I hope this has been helpful.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph@AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.